My journey through Hunter x Hunter. Hey everyone, this is the beginning of a new series I have planned, where I go through long-running shows and break them down arc by arc, and give my full thoughts on each part of it. I'm going to give a short recap, and then dive into my full thoughts, and point out some big moments and my favorite parts. I hope you enjoy these videos to relive the series and maybe find things you didn't notice before, or maybe trying to convince someone to watch the show, or convincing yourself to watch or continue the show. Whatever the reason, I hope you enjoy, and if you do, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can watch each part as it comes out. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get on with the video. One last thing, there will obviously be spoilers, and while I try not to spoil big things in future arcs, I may mention some small things, so be warned. You might want to watch the series before watching this video if you don't want any spoilers and want to go into it blind. Part 1, the Hunter exam. Gon makes a bet with his father's cousin Mito, who is his guardian, that if he catches this one big fish that no one else has been able to catch, she will allow him to go take the Hunter exam and look for his father, who left him in her care when he was 2. Gon was 2, not Gon's father. Gon is currently 11. He successfully catches the fish. She reluctantly lets him go, and he leaves on the boat. On the way, they encounter a storm, and everyone gets sick except for Gon, Leorio, and Kurapika. And everyone except them gives up on taking the Hunter exam. Then they learn this was the first part of the test. The story continues with them going through multiple tests of different kinds, including logic problems, endurance tests, hunting, cooking, and fighting. They meet up with a boy named Killua, who Gon befriends. Together with Leorio and Kurapika, they pass every test until the end of the arc, with a battle against the other candidates. The rules of the last test are one person must concede, and you get disqualified if you kill the person you're fighting. Killua kills a contestant after getting manipulated by his brother, and goes home to his family of assassins. First off, I really like Hunter x Hunter. After watching the entire show, it is very high on my list of favorite anime. I realized right from the beginning it felt like a quality show. It just seemed to have this confidence about it that it was going to be epic, which makes sense considering the author had already finished a very successful manga, Yu Yu Hakusho, but you don't really get to see how good Hunter x Hunter is until much later on. While it was fun and entertaining, nothing really blew my mind in the Hunter exam arc. It felt like a fun kids show with wacky problems they had to find clever solutions to. The entire idea of the exam, to train to achieve your goals, is a very common trope in shonen. One Piece is the only other long-running shonen I have really experienced to any extent, so I can't help but compare the two. Both have the goofy, childish fun of kids enjoying challenges in this wacky world. However, Hunter x Hunter has a much darker tone, as it does not shy away from death, nor from showing intensely violent deaths throughout the arc. It even has Killua, a main character, kill multiple people in very horrifying ways. Japan has a totally different standard for what is appropriate for different age groups, and Hunter x Hunter is a prime example of this. So many people are dying during every test, and not much thought is given to them. I appreciate the added stakes of death, even if it doesn't involve any major characters, at least at this point, but you could definitely fear for some side characters' lives. Now I'll go over some of the moments and characters that stood out to me. First, Leorio was my favorite character for this arc. His and Kurapika's chemistry was really great, and Kurapika was my second favorite character. His backstory, yes, Kurapika is a guy, was intense and so different from Gon's lame desire to find his father, who abandoned him. Like, compared to your whole village and family getting killed by a group of mercenaries, looking for Jing seems pretty weak. This also gave a great setup for the Phantom Troop, which I will have a lot more to say about in later arcs. Leorio's backstory was good, but I actually forgot most of it, and it wasn't my main reason for liking him the most during the arc. There was something about him being a realistic person. He cares about money, like most people do. He's cautious and doesn't have the same childish optimism of Gon or the single-minded goal of Kurapika. Although his backstory did involve a traumatic experience, with him not being able to afford to give surgery to his dying friend, it's nothing like Kurapika's entire village getting killed or Killua's terrifying upbringing. I guess Leorio was the most relatable character for me, and I also really liked his design. Knowing anything about Hunter x Hunter, you'll know Killua is a very beloved liked character. He is cool in this arc, but he seems a bit like an annoying, overconfident, edgy kid at times, so I didn't love him in this arc. However, he did have some really great moments that I'll get into in a little bit. Finally, Gon is a shonen protagonist. He is a fine character. His motivations are a bit ridiculous, with him going after his father because he figured if it was worth abandoning him for something, it must be something really great. While he comes across as a happy, fun-loving boy, he has times where he seems a bit of a psychopath. Considering his age, he doesn't even flinch at death. He even shrugs off gruesome deaths of people killed right in front of him. Gon lived his whole life on that peaceful, isolated island, but I guess he inherited his passion for adventure from his father, and he understands the risks everyone takes for this exam. You'll get to see more of Gon's questionable morals in later arcs. The first moment that stood out to me was when Gon jumps off the edge of the boat in order to save the crew member at the beginning of the arc. It just shows the whole dynamic of the three, with Gon's reckless but well-meaning actions, and Kurapika and Leorio being antagonistic towards each other until they work together to help Gon. I wasn't a huge fan of the mental tests that led up to the first main endurance test, but the first phase starts, and I really liked this part. You meet Killua and start to see the vast world of Hunter x Hunter as you get introduced to numerous side characters, some who become very important like Hisoka, and others who just die in a couple of episodes. The endurance test itself was great. The Hunter exam has a theme of not giving you much information and making you figure it out for yourself, which makes sense for the career choice. But sometimes it seems pointlessly difficult, like no reasonable person would understand what you were supposed to do. However, this test was simply walking. The instructor told them to follow him, and that was the entire test. I liked seeing Leorio struggle during this marathon, while everyone else of the main cast seemed to have no problem, again making Leorio a real and relatable character. You also got Leorio and Kurapika's friendship deepening in this part as they tell each other about their past. The next really great part was after the cooking test. You get to see more of Netero, the chairman of the Hunter Association, who challenges Gon and Killua to a game that they are extremely outclassed in. He promises to give them their licenses on the spot if they won. Killua is a little whiny and annoying and gives up, while Gon plays until Netero is forced to use his right hand, as he was majorly handicapping himself. Once he is successful in that goal, Gon also gives up as he collapses from exhaustion. A common theme in the show being that there is always someone much better than you, Killua and Gon often find themselves in situations like this. Trick Tower was probably my favorite test. Similar to the endurance test, their only objective was to get down within 72 hours. Once the way into the tower was found, they find themselves in a battle against prisoners. I'm a big fan of how Hunter x Hunter does fights, especially near the beginning, but even when the battles get more serious, it's often similar, where physically damaging the opponent isn't always the goal. A lot of battles are just mind games to decide the winner. As a huge fan of Death Note, I love mind games. The best moment of the tower, however, isn't one of the mind games played with the prisoners, it's the final fight with Killua versus the mass murderer Johannes? I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. With 2 wins and 2 losses, everything is up to Killua in his fight to the death, with a mass murderer who killed 146 people with his bare hands. Leorio hypes up the serial killer and warns Killua not to fight him. The fight starts, and Johannes is shocked as Killua removes his heart and places it in a bag before he realizes what happens. Killua has a savage line of, "You're just an amateur, I'm a pro." It was such a sick moment. Then the final test comes with a path that would take too much time, and a short path that allows only 3 of the 5 to enter. They had Tanpo with them, but he's barely worth mentioning. They argue about what to do until Gon has the plan to go through the long path and just break the wall into the short path, which works and they all get to the exit. The best thing about the 4th phase of the test is Hisoka. Throughout the other tests, you get to see some of the chaotic nature of this character, and with his fascination of Gon, it's impossible to tell what he is going to do. In the end, Hisoka gives his tag to Gon after killing Geretta, who was going after Gon's tag. Hisoka already had enough tags to pass the test, so he let Gon pass too. I should mention the rules were to steal the tags off of other people. Each tag was worth a point and you needed 6 points. Then you had a specific target who was worth 3 points. Keeping your own tag was also worth 3 points. So Hisoka had taken down 6 others and had enough tags for himself and to give Gon his tag. This is another time where Hunter x Hunter doesn't use the basic this person fights this person and wins formula. Gon gets what he wants. Hisoka's badge lets him pass the test, but having Hisoka just give it to him infuriates Gon. It's such a powerful moment seeing Gon in such a state of loss, even though he was technically successful, and passes the test because of this. Gon tries to give Hisoka back his badge, but he refuses to take it unless Gon can deliver a good punch to his face. Hisoka Hisoka makes it clear his motives are that he wants to watch Gon grow into a great fighter and then kill him when he is a real challenge. So now we have a new goal and motivation for Gon. This is the best moment in this arc and propels us to the better, more emotional struggles that great stories are made of. In the final phase, we have a fighting tournament bracket. The rules are your opponent must give up. If you kill your opponent, you fail the test. Only one person will fail the test, and everyone else passes. When you give up, you move further up the bracket until there are only 2 left. Seeing how the test worked, I assumed Gon and Hisoka would end up in the final round together and fight, with Gon delivering the punch to Hisoka, who would give up because he was impressed with Gon, and this arc would end on a happy note as all the main heroes passed. This is when I learned Hunter x Hunter was not predictable. The first fight starts with Gon and Hanzo, and Gon will not give up. Worrying he will eventually kill him, Hanzo gives up, hoping for a more reasonable opponent in the next round. This makes Gon the first one to pass. So at that point, I had no idea what was going to happen. Then this weird guy with the needles changed his face, and it turns out to be Killua's brother, who is taking the test for a job. Killua, being from a family of assassins, Illumi, his brother, doesn't want him to leave the family. So he manipulates him to kill Bodoro, which lets everyone pass except Killua and Bodoro, because he's dead. This is also where Killua makes his declaration that he really only wants to be friends with Gon and live a normal life. After Illumi's manipulation of Killua, Killua returns home, and Gon and Kurapika and Leorio all go to Kukuru Mountain, the home of the Zoldyck assassins, Killua's family. That's where this arc ends. Finally, I wanted to mention some overall thoughts on this first arc. The Hunter Association is not good or evil. It has some code of conduct, but it doesn't care on whether you are a good person, which is a common theme in Hunter x Hunter, as many good guys do horrible things, and many villains have sweet moments where you see their desires aren't to do evil, but they do evil because of their desires. The morality of Hunter x Hunter is very interesting, and I may have a video on that in the future. Overall, this was a good first arc. I liked it, but I wasn't in love. It had its good moments, but it was 21 episodes in total, which doesn't seem like a lot compared to the show overall, but compared to shorter anime that I usually watch, its pacing was very slow at times. My favorite character for this arc was Leorio, followed by Kurapika, Hisoka, and then I'm not sure whether I liked Gon or Killua more. My favorite moment was actually Gon, Leorio, and Kurapika teaming up to save the crew member. Gon losing to Hisoka and getting his badge was definitely the best moment, but for some reason the image of Gon jumping off the boat is just engraved into my mind. I don't know why. But that was my journey through part 1 of Hunter x Hunter. At this point, I like the show a lot, but I would not consider it a masterpiece or even great. It was fun, but it needed to get a lot better to deserve all of the hype. Thanks for watching. I'm still figuring out the format for this video series where I go over each arc of a long-running show, so suggestions and comments are appreciated. If you like the video, and consider subscribing for future videos so you won't miss the next part of the series, which should be out next week. That's all for me. Ciao meow!